Good morning and welcome to a special presentation by A Better Glenn. We are excited about our upcoming Legacy Gala on May the 4th, 2024. And we thought it was a good idea for us to bring in some of the folks that we have partnering with us and helping to make the gala all that it is. So, Bobby Henderson, my brother, has recruited someone very special to him. I'm going to let him introduce his fam to the Better Glenn audience so that you all can know who it is that we're talking to today. Bobby, what's up?
What's poppin', man? So the number one question I get when I say his name is, "That's your brother for real?" Yes, that's my brother.
Yes, sir.
Like, grew up same kitchen table, right?
Mhm.
So we have my brother, the chef farmer, Matthew Raiford, and my beautiful sister-in-law, Tia Raiford, with us. I'm so happy to have you guys here. We've been talking a long time about Strong Roots and ABG partnering. Glad this is finally able to come to fruition, and excited about how we're going to continue to build together for the future. So I'll let you guys kind of introduce yourselves beyond that. So Matt, we're going to make you go last.
Okay.
Tell us about it, Tia.
Good morning, Bobby and John and everyone. Excuse me. My name is Tia Raiford. I am a first-generation Northerner, as I like to call myself, and a 3-year farmer alongside my husband. My family was born in central Alabama, which is where my grandparents, great-grandparents, and the majority of my family is from, Wetumpka and Tuskegee. My father's father moved to Dayton, Ohio, and my mother's parents moved to Albany, New York, which is where I was born, raised in the North, and ultimately became a chef and met my husband at culinary school at the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York. We took about 20 years to figure out our lives. and we reconnected a little more than 4 years ago and married almost 3 years ago. So I'm new to Glenn. I'm new to the South. I'm new to farming, but very happy to be here. Very happy to be here. Honey?
I am Chef Farmer Matthew Raiford. Again, John, Bobby, I'm very humbled and honored to actually be on here with you guys because Glenn County is the dirt that I have been on most of my life. And there was a point in time where I said, I'm never, ever coming back to Glenn County. I'm just never going to do it. I'm also a child of the 70s and 80s and graduated from Brunswick High. I'm a pirate. I graduated in 1985. In the world, Glenn County itself was a lot different back then. Some things have definitely changed for sure. And I would say some things still need to be worked on. But Glenn as itself, I always say I'm so Brunswick, right? I remember skipping school going to the original Willie's Weenie Wagon. When the pork chop sandwich was on there, and if you got a better one, you could win a little money. And it never happens that I know of. And if it did, hey, good on them, but it ain't happened more than once.
Willie's Weenie Wagon is where we had our wedding meal.
Yes.
Wow.
When we got married, I actually told her, I was like, we did the courthouse thing. We're older. We don't need all that, pop and circumstance. And I actually said, where do you want to go eat? And she was like, it don't matter to me. And I said, are you serious? And she was like, yeah. I said, let's go to Willie's Weenie Wagon. So we literally bought ourselves a bottle of Prosecco to celebrate. And both got Willie Weenie Wagon and got all the hot dog that we wanted. I think I got a Polish sausage. So when I say so Glenn, I remember going to the Bowl Arena. You know what I'm saying? I'm so Glenn. I remember when it was a Gibson's and not a Target. I'm so Glenn. I remember when Altama stopped where the McDonald's is as a road, and then it became dirt going into College Park. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody ever want to come up at me about Glenn County, I can talk about Glenn. I remember when it was you cut through the path to get to Piggly Wiggly, and all that was just a little. So I can go on and on about how I'm so Brunswick. But for those that are on here that like Bobby, my brother, and other folks that are like from the area, everybody knows what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? I remember when Dixville was Dixville, you know? So, yeah.
Yep.
So
That's all right, man. Thank you.
Matt have that College Park connection.
I was about to say thank you for the shout out to my neighborhood, man. College Park.
I didn't even know. See,
you didn't have to hit me with the dirt road though. That took me back. Oh, listen, I need to ask y'all a question early on because I know some people might not know this term. But what is a chef farmer? Because it's a great term, but some people may not know what that is.
So, chef farmer means that we are chefs and farmers. We dropped one of the F's because I just got tired of always saying I'm a chef and a farmer. And it actually came up, the name itself came from when I was out at UC Santa Cruz in school going through a program called the Center for Agroecology and Sustainable Food Systems. And we'd be out in the fields working and harvesting and doing all those kinds of things. And people would, in the middle of the field, go, "Chef, what can we do with this?" And, you know, they might hold up like a Japanese eggplant. And I would go into some tirade on all the things you could do with that white Japanese eggplant, right? And they were like, "Man, I wish I could be a chef and a farmer." And then somebody one day we're out in the field and they was like, "Chef farmer," just like shouted it out, and it has stuck. And I mean, I've had that moniker since 2011. So what are we going on? 13 years now with that name. And then, you know, when my wife and Tia and I got married, and she started right in. The first time she came to the farm, I don't know, you know, for her having never been on a farm, she just walked down. I was like, we were talking about breakfast, and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna treat you like I treat my sister. You got to go out and get them eggs if that's something you want to eat." And I did it as a joke, y'all. I wasn't like I was going to make her go out and do that. And I ain't about to try to make no woman do anything anyway. And she just walked outside, came back with like 3 dozen eggs and started washing them. And I was like, "Where did you learn how to do? Did you do some kind of chicken internship somewhere that I don't know about?" And she was like, "Nah." And so it's like that thing, that DNA thing.
It's
that
in
like,
the DNA. My
yeah,
family
it's in the DNA. And
also.
yeah, and I'm even going. I'm allow Tia to say at some point her connection to Glenn County that will knock everybody that's sitting here on their feet.
I'll tell it now.
Well, we need that.
Yeah.
So we want to hear that now.
Okay, I'll tell it now. So as Matthew and I said, you know, my family is also farming. We have 120 acres in Wetumpka, Alabama, chicken internship. So, you know, they were sharecroppers, and much like, you know, Matthew and Bobby's family, you know, came from farming. I just happened to be the generation that got removed from it by the Great Migration. And even further, my father is a guitar player. So I grew up in a music family. So completely
Guitar player for who?
For Sugar Hill Gang.
Yeah.
So
the original session musician.
Yeah, the original Sugar Hill Records band, my dad was the guitar player for. So all of the music.
50 years of hip hop, y'all.
From 1979 to 1984, from Rapper's Delight, It's the Joint,
Apache.
White Lines, Apache, all of that. So that is not farming, right? that is completely removed from farming. So, however, in my discovery throughout my ancestry, because I've been studying where my family is from and trying to determine where really we're from, I learned that I have a 3 times great grandfather on my father's father's, the paternal line, Bill McDonald, who was born in 1820. up until Matthew and I got married, all I knew he was born in Georgia. That's all I knew. 3 weeks after we got married, I found out that he was born in Glen. So it took 200 years for Bill McDonald's ancestors to find their way back, going through Alabama, Ohio, New York, Connecticut, all the places I've lived. I lived in Philadelphia for 15 years prior to moving to the farm. So it was this big circle all to come back right to Glen.
You see what I'm saying? Like, that's a better Glen. That's a better Glen, y'all. You know what I'm saying? To be able to have gone from being enslaved to now running a business in the same city, in the same county. And those are the kind of stories and things that we want to make sure keep being shown in the forefront of what Glen County is and what it's about.
Yeah, man. That's amazing.
Bobby just got dropped, right?
Listen, that's an amazing story. I mean, and it really does connect to a lot of the work that we do, especially with our students in the Social Justice Club, with storytelling and connecting them to history and showing them their potential. I just had to write a grant yesterday about what we do with the Justice Journey, and we entrench them, baptize them in their history so that they can know how to build a better future. You know, so being able to hear stories like that is just a part of who we are and what we celebrate at A Better Glen. And part of that justice journey kind of connects with what you guys are doing now. So if you guys would just kind of chop it up with us on what your latest venture is.
Ooh, well, I can tell you what it started out as and where we are now. It started out with, Althea, my sister, and I coming back home and, getting the farm started, rejuvenation, regenerating what was already there and what was already being done. Our farm is off of Galilee Road. The original church, Spring Hill Baptist Church, is at the end of the road. Galilee Road. I always say that if you are of African descent and live on that road, we are somehow kin in some kind of way. You could be a distant cousin or whatever, but we gonna be kin. And so we've taken that to heart. And then we also understood that being chefs and farmers, we have a duty and responsibility to ensure our community can eat properly and or create business that can turn into legacy for our community. So Tia and I currently own Strong Roots 9, which is a company built around an omni wellness brand. And so our thought process is not just the food, but also the air, but also the sea. That's what we're trying to encompass. And when we're talking about wellness, and then from that, our main bread and butter at the moment is consulting. And so, we help large food service management companies understand what culturally relevant food means. Tia has worked for some major companies, and I'm just going to tout what she's done. She has been, she was the senior executive chef in the 2008 Beijing Olympics in the media center. So we're not talking about somebody that just kind of like gave themselves this title chef. Like, we're talking about somebody that ran 275 people, creating 14,500 meals a day, right? In a country that is completely different from being in the United States. So I'm going to tout that about her. And she brought that to Glen County. She brought that thought process of understanding food and food concepts to that. And we've used that and leveraged that to reinvent the way food is being used and being cooked. Because, everybody thinks when you say rooted to the tutor that everything has to be pork. If you don't have pork in your collard greens, it ain't real. Or if you don't have this, this ain't real. And so we're like, do you know that there's whole groups of people of color that don't eat meat at all? And that's like almost like a different concept, right? Or the fact that Ramadan is happening right now, and that, there are students here at Albany State University that can't eat all day until the evening. And that's what we're talking about creating culturally relevant food, right? And then if we even go any further, if you start understanding from a biblical standpoint, all of the foods that are talked about in the Bible, like cucumbers, right? Like people don't even think about Genesis and cucumbers, right? But cucumbers are a vital part of just eating, right? And so that's what Tia and I have been working on. That's what Tia and I have been wanting to bring. Tia is also a yoga instructor. I am, as of last year, became a certified wellness coach. So our whole thought process is to merge all the things of who and what we are to create a larger platform. And so part of that larger platform also, Bobby alluded to, we've been trying to figure out how we can get more involved with ABG. And it's just amazing that, everybody thinks that things happen overnight. And one of the things that I can tell you that Tia and I have learned is 3 years ago when we got married, we never saw where we are right now. Were we working to get there? Possibly, yes. But it took us 3 years to get to this point. It also took us 3+ years to get to where we can work with ABG, right? So I think that when people start thinking about like, this ain't moving fast enough, this ain't happening fast enough, it takes time and motion to get anything done. Nothing happens overnight. And so we have to know about that, and we have to understand it. And we've also been trying to get people to understand that wherever we go, because the same, I'm just going to say this to you and then I'll stop. When Tia and I first got together and I went to Philadelphia, every time I went to Philadelphia, and Tia will tell you this, I heard about 13 bodies every time I went there. 13 people that no longer exist in the world. Juxtaposition of that, think about this now. I had been there like 8 times. So 8 times 13. That does not equate to anything bad that happens in Brunswick or Glenn County on a daily basis. Not 13 bodies. So when we start talking about where we are and, ooh, it's so rough over there or whatever, we are in a great position in Glenn County. We are in a very good position as compared to other places in the world. And for those that have been like in Glenn most of their life, or have come from other places and are now hearing like, ooh, I don't know if I want to live in that neighborhood. I'm like, you have never been anywhere where things are bad all the time. Glenn County doesn't have that. I haven't seen it since I've been home. And I came back home in late 2011. Have I seen some things that have happened? Have I been through some stuff myself? Yes. But I'm telling you, Glenn County, that's my heart right there, y'all. For real, for real. And Tia can even give her experience just coming here from the north, from a big city.
Mm-hmm.
Tia, I was going to ask you, you met Matthew in culinary school, but tell us a little bit about your backstory and why you're committed to equity in the culinary food industry. I want to hear about Philly a little bit.
Okay. Well, Philly is definitely a big part of the story of, my culinary career. going back and growing up in Connecticut, I knew I wanted to go to culinary school. Back in the early 90s, there wasn't a Food Network. There wasn't, a Tabitha Brown. There wasn't, it was a very white male dominated field that you saw from the magazines and books and everything that you saw at that time. There was no one that looked like me on a national platform. So in that sense, I thought culinary school would be the best thing for me to do in order to make sure that I had my cred, because I knew I was going to have a lot of doors shut in my face. And I did. Once I graduated from culinary school and I worked in New York City for a number of years, you go to what's called a stage. So back in the day, when you stage somewhere, it was an unpaid shift that you were going to go work and evaluate whether or not you liked the place and whether they liked you. There were a lot of places that wouldn't even open the door for me. They did not. It didn't matter. Best culinary school in the world, doesn't matter. Black woman. So fought through that. Worked at a number of different fine dining restaurants in New York City. I also did my internship at the Grand Hyatt, which is attached to Grand Central Station, which is a very large hotel. So in my early days, I thought that I wanted to go into the hotel industry. Come to find out, hotels never close, right? So I decided that was not where I wanted to work when there was a snowstorm. That's not the place. So had a few jobs at fine dining restaurants, one Michelin star restaurant now, and then decided to move home back to Connecticut for a little bit. And that's when I first started going into food service management companies, which, for those of you, what does a food service management company do? If you think about all the places from the time you're born to the time you die that you eat outside of your home, outside of a restaurant, you go to school, whether it's elementary, K-12, college, universities, you go to a sporting event, you go into the corporate world, you have to eat. If you go, we used to joke, it was like, okay, you go to school, if you go into the corporate world and then end up going to jail for insider trading, you go to jail, right? You need food in all of these arenas. So I worked for a large company for 11 years, which is where I ended up at the Olympics, and was also the executive chef at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia, which is what brought me there, Ivy League University. And after I came back from China, that's when really some of my food justice thought processes started. I mean, I'd always been into sustainability, and I grew up with a grandmother and mother who grew things in the backyard. So I always had a connection to how food grew and where it came from. But once I came back from China and I was working as a research and development chef, I went into what's considered K-12, which is school lunch. And so I was developing recipes for schools across the country, which at first I hated that job. I couldn't believe I found myself in this position. And, all my friends who were chefs and everything, they're saying, oh, you're making chicken nuggets now? Oh, that's what you're going to do with your career? And, I almost quit, and I ended up sticking with it. And because of that, I ended up meeting my next boss, whose name is Mark Vetri, who was starting a foundation that was focused on feeding the Philadelphia children scratch meals in school lunch programs. So many of you know that within school lunch, there's what's called free and reduced, right? So you pay a lower amount. However, the quality food that's being served in schools is what we were trying to change. And we were trying to change the mindset of, what you eat and at school, and how that can be connected to how you feel. I was also going through a personal health journey at the same time. So it really started connecting with me that, Philadelphia has a 24% poverty rate. It also is 51% Black. So the majority of people that live in Philadelphia are Black and either can't afford to feed their children or don't have a lot of access to food. And you think about, Philadelphia is a big city. And even in the design of Philadelphia, when Ben Franklin and all of them were designing it, they were designed it to have plots of land in between the row homes so you could grow your own food. Now we're going back hundreds of years, but still there's a lot of community gardens that are still in Philadelphia now. And when I started really taking a look at what we were feeding children in the course of their day, that kind of strengthened my commitment to food and community, and understanding that food is it brings community together, in good times and bad. And really starting to get to understand the impact of, it's not just teaching children how to eat better, it's teaching communities, because ultimately these parents are the ones that are going to have to make the food for the kids. And if mom doesn't know what to do with a head of broccoli, what's the good of giving that food to them if they don't know how to make it taste good and to get their kids to eat it? You're just going to revert back to the hugs and the chips and the Pop-Tarts because it's easy, right? Our food system is designed for convenience, not for subsistence. So I worked for the foundation for about 2 years, moved over to the restaurant side. And right around that time is when, I started thinking about moving to the South, getting out of the restaurant business and really starting my own business and seeing where that would go. That was focused on creating a functional iced tea beverage that used ingredients that are, have anti-inflammatory properties in your body. That's around the time Matthew and I reconnected, and the rest is history.
Not quite history.
Not quite, but I think those steps in my career, I worked at a seafood restaurant back in the late 90s. That's where I started getting into sustainable aquaculture and understanding that there was an importance of how we were treating our oceans. From the farm, I started really understanding the importance of soil. That if your soil is not right, your food's not going to be right. So Matthew and I we went through our journey, and then we started Strong Roots 9 on that premise that, we have a lot of our ancestors that we have to thank for where we are today, what they have gone through to get Matthew and I to this point, that we even had the wherewithal to get out of the situations that we grew up in and saw that there was a bigger world out there. So we thank, we're honoring our ancestors, but also taking our stewardship of the land that we work on as chefs and farmers and saying, how can we better our community? So we also have, in addition to doing the consulting, we have our spice line, Hard Grind, which we make spices from products that we grow on the farm. We make tinctures. And we really designed it that way because we did not want to compete with the farmers in our area and just bringing produce to farmers markets. Like, what is it that we can do with the ingredients that we grow? And thinking about that thought process that I was having is that, if you get a head of broccoli and you've never seen one before, what do you do with it? We're showing people what to do with these ingredients that we're growing on the farm and how to utilize them. So we're at the Forward Brunswick Farmers Markets every other Saturday. And we're always trying new things on the farm and creating new ideas on how we can take what we do on the farm and turn it into a value-added product that everyone can use.
And part of those value-added products are also us collaborating with other farmers that are in the area. So, for instance, Southern Brothers are a mushroom company that we have in Glenn County. They grow mushrooms, some of the best mushrooms that T and I have ever had in our careers, in our life, actually. And we partnered with them to purchase their mushrooms at the value that those mushrooms are, and then turn it into what we call shrooms and sand. And basically, we dehydrate the mushrooms for about a week until we can almost turn it into a powder, add a little bit of sea salt to it, and then you can either use it as a mushroom broth, or you can use it as, like, if you made a steak and wanted to have that mushroomy kind of taste to it, that's some of the things that we do with it. Our infused olive oils and mullein. So we take, Tia has a really good friend that's in Florence, Italy. And the two of them got together and we import that olive oil into Glenn County, and then we infuse it with all of the herbs that come off of our farm. So then when you're cooking that head of broccoli, if you're trying to think, ooh, well, just salt and pepper, but we show how to use that infused oil that has rosemary and thyme and oregano fresh off the farm, not something that's been dried and then put in a bag somewhere with some olive oil poured over it and let it sit. We're actually taking these fresh ingredients that we are growing to turn into that. We've even been able to partner with a coffee roaster in Atlanta, and now we also are importing Rwandan coffee into our area. That's called Enza, which means beautiful Rwandan. Tia has now taken on the process of creating a vanilla extract at the farm. And so we're now also bringing in Rwandan, Ugandan, and vanilla bean from the Congo. And the Congo, correct?
Yep, Congo.
Yeah, Congo. And infusing
we've done bourbon, rum, and vodka.
Because I don't know if people know this, but to all vanilla extract just about is made with alcohol. There are some that aren't, but all of them have alcohol in them. It's kind of like old school NyQuil. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you're thinking about, ooh, goodness, but that pound cake tastes really good, it's the alcohol. No, I'm just playing. But right now, we're going into a specialty line of vanilla extract, where we're also taking the Rwandan vanilla bean, the Rwandan coffee, and making a vanilla extract from that. And so what we're doing is, back to that R&D part that Tia was talking about, that she comes from. She's taught me that part, like how to actually get better at research and development, which I've been doing for years, but never for my own product. It was always like the process for somebody else to do something. And so now seeing the process that we're doing, we're doing this in Glenn County. You know what I'm saying? We're doing this in a place that most people are like, y'all doing what? How do y'all create? I would have never expected that, because we only think of, back in the day, King and Prince picking crab meat. You know what I'm saying? We only think about like a little bit of our shrimp that come from places. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you a quick little story. I'm part of the Coalition of Sustainable Aquaculture. And how I ended up being one of the founding chefs was a conversation I had with somebody like 5-6 years ago about seafood coming from Georgia. And the thing that they remembered is I said that friends don't allow friends to eat imported shrimp, and that I am home and the only shrimp that we buy is shrimp from our area. They're the best white
shrimp shack
shrimp. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'll even tell you, Frank Owens' granddaddy used to sell seafood to our grandparents. So when I talk about City Market, I'm talking about City Market from a level of, oh yeah, you want good seafood, this is one of the places you go. You know what I'm saying? Now the young brother that is running, young cat that's running Anchored Shrimp, I go to him too. Why? They got their own boats. Like, who can go and get seafood from a place where people got their own boats? You know what I'm saying? And that, blessing of the fleet, that's always been a thing for me, as a kid. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, if you really think about what Glenn County has to offer, I'm talking outside of just, the beach. I'm talking about outside of just Flexi. I'm talking about the community that actually feeds us. We have some of the most amazing farmers between Glenn, Ware, Camden, McIntosh. We got some amazing farmers that are just around us, and we should help support them, because guess what? Ultimately, when the pandemic happened and the grocery store didn't have any eggs in it, everybody was like, oh, woe is me. And I was like, but we got farmers that are doing this sustainable work that you could survive off of, local. Right. And so we do have some rich resources, and we have to collectively, I love this, collectively protect it. And I'll give everybody this one thing. Georgia, and I'll never forget, I learned this from 100 Miles as a bigger thing that I didn't know. Georgia has 1/3 of the marshland for the Eastern Seaboard. 1/3. Which means that the marshes of Glenn, when those white shrimp come out of that marshes of Glenn, I'm telling you, they go as far as North Carolina and as far as Central Florida. So it's imperative that we look at where we are to sustain it, to make sure it is protected, and that we make sure any brownfield sites that we use mushrooms or whatever to pull all them toxins out of the ground. You know what I'm saying? That we have to think about it like that. And that's where that legacy piece comes in, John and Bobby. Like, the only way, so you don't plant a fruit tree for yourself. You plant a fruit tree for your children's children's children. That's 3 generations away from you as a human being. So that's the way we got to think about Glenn County. What's going to be here 3 generations later?
That is the perfect segue into the Legacy Gala and the work that we're doing with the Legacy Gala. And our theme is shifting the tides. We are trying our best as an organization to partner with other people to be intentional about that 3 generations from now. I call it supplying our own demand, sowing into the students that we have now, so that like myself, like John, like Shafarmer, that Mike can leave and come back and make these deposits in Glenn County. It took hundreds of years for Tia to come back to Glenn County through her ancestors and continue to make those deposits for not for now, but for the generations to come. So I'm a segue to John. Let John talk about the Legacy Gala and let you guys really get into what we've got planned for the menu for the Legacy Gala.
Yeah, we're really being intentional about the Legacy Gala, and I thank you, Matthew and Tia, for sharing your stories, and also just sharing the importance of thinking about the future. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of folks tend to lose sight of, because our culture is so me focused and me centered that we don't understand the future. As a matter of fact, I mean, when it comes to what you were doing at Strong Roots 9, apart from Jupiter Raiford, you all wouldn't be where you are today, right? I wanted to make sure I hit that piece, because it's super important for people to understand that you're actually paying forward what was paid forward to you.
1874.
So can you tell me just a little bit snippet about Jupiter Raiford and how he has impacted you all before we turn to the Legacy Gala here real fast?
So, and just a quick correction, it's Jupiter Gilliard.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's no big deal. So Raiford is my dad's paternal side.
Okay.
My mom's family is from Glenn County. And Jupiter Gilliard bought 476 acres of land for $9 in taxes in 1874. However, he had to, if I'm correct, if I remember, he had to pledge allegiance to the 27th Militia.
The Union Army.
Right. And so the thought process was, you can get this land, but if anything pops off again, you burn this thing to the ground and don't leave anything for anybody to get.
Wow.
In 1874, if you think about what was happening in American history at that time, it was Reconstruction. And it was right after the end of the Civil War, where there was that 10-year period of time where Black people were getting elected to Congress. You know, it was the 40 acres and a mule, that there was that little window of opportunity that Jupiter was fortunately able to take advantage of and get that land, which ultimately was taken away from us for the next 100 years.
Mm.
So for the Raiford and Gilliard families to be able to hold on to this land for almost 150 years is not a small feat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
wow.
and henceforth the name Strong Roots 9. So I'm gonna put this because I will say this: we are so ABG. Strong Roots means that our roots are rooted in Glenn County. If you walk to the oak trees that are on our farm, they've been here since Oglethorpe.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? The number 9 is a magical number for us because Jupiter paid $9 in taxes for this land that we are sitting on, for this land. And I want to be very clear. We can't own something that was taken from another group of people.
Sir.
We should not use that term. So we don't. We try our best to say that we are land stewards. Our job is to ensure that there are other generations to do the same thing. We are land stewards. I have come a long way in this journey. So I know words that I've used before aren't necessarily the words I'm using now, but that's called growth. Right? And Glenn County is in this growth period of realizing what they have and what's possible. So henceforth, that name, Strong Roots 9, I just wanted to make sure that everybody, because we always get that later on, like, where does that 9 come from?
Right.
So yeah, that's where that the number 9 is part of our conversation. So it's Strong Roots 9 at Gilliard
Farms. That's good, man.
Because it's more than just one thing. It was just Gilliard Farms, right? And here we're adding this another layer because we want to create legacy for our family.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I want the Wonder Twins to always be able to come out to the farm, Bobby, and be like, oh yeah, that was my uncle right there. Blah, 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 blah. You know, I'm 57 now, so my thought process is totally different from even when I was 50. You know, and it's even different from when I was 40. Because as we grow as human beings, we start to think differently because we see the world differently.
That's good. That's good. Hey, we definitely got to bring y'all back for our tax sale conversation because there's one to be had. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But let's talk about food though.
You got that menu, honey? You got that menu?
No. I don't. I was leaving menu because I've talked more than enough. I left the menu to you. The only thing I'm gonna talk about is that hall.
All right. So we want to talk about food. What's going to happen at this gala? So many people are excited about coming. And I always ask 2 questions when I'm going to eat. Number 1, who all gonna be there?
Who all gonna be there?
And number 2, what we eating? So we're gonna answer question number 2 on this one. Ms. Tia, what we got going on for the gala?
Oh gosh, hold on. I need a minute to find this menu, but I will tell you that we will definitely be using ingredients from the farm. Hold on one second.
So we'll just kind of talk about the gala itself generally while you look for that. So the gala is going to happen on May the 4th at 6 o'clock. Make sure you all buy your tickets now. Okay. We don't want y'all coming on the tail end when we sell out the tickets. And then you say, oh man, y'all got another seat for us. We full. And want to make sure that you all.
But I know John, let me in.
No, we not doing let me in season. Because
we gonna be there. That's who all gonna be there. We gonna be there. That answers that question, right?
exactly.
And I have the menu pulled up, by the way.
I do too.
Okay, good.
So we're
yeah,
doing a hog roast, having a pig picking.
Hog roast. So a whole hog roast.
Right. And and just to be clear, we are growing that hog out right now for this event.
Man, stop it.
Yes. We're growing that hog out right now. As a matter of fact, we're in Albany right now. We're leaving this afternoon. And one of the things that we're doing is harvesting tillage radishes, because we're going to feed the hog tillage radishes from now until until the day. And
we'll have chicken too, Shamika.
Yeah. We'll have chicken too, Shamika, but not your regular chicken. You know what I'm saying?
Not regular chicken.
No. We're gonna do Spitfire spatchcock chicken with za'atar. And za'atar is a seasoning that we grow all those ingredients to include wild staghorn sumac, which we harvest at the farm, and it's just growing. Sumac just grows out there. Now, we ain't talking about poison ivy. We talking about sumac, which used to be called Indian lemonade because of its citrusy feel or taste. So in addition to that, that whole hog is going to have 4 sauces, because I wanted to cover a little bit of everybody, because, everybody ain't from Brunswick. So we doing a Mamba No. 9 sauce. Now that's a smoking hot and sweet sauce with enough bite, you know what I'm saying, like a Mamba. It sneaks up on you. Again, that No. 9 is thrown in there. You know why. We got a sweet Kansas City style sauce. Sweet. So don't come in there talking about, ooh, this too sweet for me. You know what I'm saying? It's made for those people that like sweet barbecue sauce. Then we went all the way the other way and went with a Creole mustard sauce. For those that like Louisiana and those types of things, this Creole mustard sauce is.
And then we'll have an Alabama white sauce.
And then we got that Bama white sauce, right? Because Tia's a Bama. So or her family's from Alabama. Maybe I should say it that way, because I don't want no problems when I get back home. So
don't call them Bamas.
Alabama's.
I ain't no Bama.
Right. And just so you know, everything else, all of the sides have no meat in them. Not one bit of meat. So, babe, you handle the rest all the way through dessert.
Yep. So we have smashed yuca.
There's more?
Yes. We gotta have the vegetables. We gotta have some sides, right? It ain't a hog, but it ain't got some sides. We have smoking hot and sweet grilled tempeh, a collard green salad that Matthew and I started making a few years ago, which we like collard greens in any way, shape, or form, and we decided that we wanted to try it as a salad this time. We got some Reezy Peasy with some Sea Island red peas and olive oil grits. So when Matthew and I started cooking together, we got a lot of, vegetarians and vegans that when you're doing a catering or a large event, a lot of times chefs will, one, be annoyed that they have to prepare a vegetarian dish, but 2, have to back into something, right? So you have to, if I'm making grits with butter, I got to set aside some grits for somebody who doesn't eat butter. So a lot of my career in cooking was I studied Northern Italian cuisine, which polenta is something that you eat in Northern Italy. Well, polenta and grits are the same thing, right? They're the exact same thing. They're both made from corn. They're ground corn. You cook them for a long time. We decided, from a flavor and health and vegan perspective, to use olive oil, and we whip it in, and they are super creamy, super delicious. You're not going to miss anything, and they are vegan. So we make a diligent effort to make sure that if it's animal, it's an animal. If it's not, it's okay for everybody.
And we're not gonna have no sugar on the table for you to mess up them grits.
Right. Right.
How about your desserts, honey?
Okay, so desserts. I'm so Brunswick on this one, y'all. We making sweet potato pone. No
Ooh.
nuts, no marshmallows, sweet potato pone. And we're gonna do it in big old cast iron pans so that when you dip into it, you can get that little crust on the bottom.
My,
You know
my,
what I'm
my.
saying? That nice little glaze on the top. Then we're gonna make a dessert that is one of my favorite, which is called Choco Bun Bun. Because after you eat it, all you want to do is just get bunned up. And I'm gonna tell you why. It's made with chocolate, coconut milk, a little bit of cinnamon, right? And if anybody knows that cinnamon warms the blood, chocolate, OMG, okay, and the creaminess of coconut milk is all
You should
in
just
this
call
thing.
it. You should just call it chocolate boot up.
Yeah, chocolate blued up. Yep. But we gotta. This is Glenn. Let's leave it at bun bun. Okay.
This is a family show.
This is a family show. And then lastly, we went completely dairy heavy. We are gonna make homemade bourbon and caramel ice cream. So yeah, for dessert. So and that one's gonna be dairy heavy. It's gonna be heavy cream all the way. In that, you know, you might just fall asleep. If anybody's lactose intolerant, I advise you not to eat this because it will be just cream. So yeah, this is what we're doing. And a lot of this does go back to Bobby and I growing up together and sitting and breaking bread at that same kitchen table. You know, whole hog. That's just us. You know what I'm saying? That's just us. And then, you know, there's this thing about fried chicken and chicken, period. And I remember hearing our great grandmother tell us that, you know, you when you do chicken, fried chicken for show, that means pastor coming over. You know what I'm saying? That means deacon somebody about to be at the house. You didn't go out and kill no chicken every day to cook chicken. It only 8 pieces. Ain't enough to feed no family. You know what I'm saying? So we grew up eating these things not on a regular. Now I will say for me, we and Bobby, we ate a lot of seafood coming up.
Lots of it.
Lots of seafood. Why? Because it was more abundant, you know what I'm saying, than chicken was. So fried whiting and some white bread and some mustard. I'm telling you, John.
Mustard?
Yes, some mustard. I'm telling you, John, you need to bring Fish Fry Fridays back to the church. And y'all start. I'm trying to tell you, you know, that's a way. That used to be old school.
That's how to get them in the house, right there.
That's how to get them in the house. And I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna have some that want to sit underneath the tree and have a little, you know, nip. That's fine too, because at some point they gonna realize they need to come in the house.
They're gonna hear the good news.
That's the fellowship.
That's called fellowshipping. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying we need to bring back Fish Fry Fridays at the church. You know, raise a little bit of money that way. I think we just need to do that for a better Glenn too. Our next go around, we just need to do a fish fry. Just do it out there. You know what I'm saying? You know, and doing it, and you know, we grew up with Wonder Bread, so you know, I ain't talking about, you know, if somebody want the brioche butter top, we can do that for them too.
King's Hawaiian.
Well, we're gonna take it back.
We're gonna take it all the way back, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Wonder bread.
Yeah,
Wonder bread.
The food is indicative of where we are, the people that we are, you know, and I'll tell you this. A low country boil is great every now and then. You know what I'm saying? But if you're going to do it, you got to make sure you got some blue crab in there. You know what I'm saying? You got to go all the way. These low country boils are just like shrimp, potato, corn, and some sausage. You got to have peppers in there. You got to have a big piece of onion in there. You know,
don't forget about your egg.
Yeah, you got to throw some eggs in there because back in the day, it used to be turtle eggs. I don't want nobody to be offended, but I'm just saying this is before people didn't understand, you know what I'm saying, that we don't take everything. That we have.
You know, I'm about to be petty, right?
Yeah.
I'm from Brunswick, but I'm allergic to shellfish. So whenever they had the boils, I used to have a little pot on the stove with hot dogs in it.
Let me tell you, Tia tell you, we have literally done low country boils for groups at the farm. And those groups have come, and we always say, tell us how many people are allergic, right, to shellfish. And you know what? Guess what ended up happening? We get a nice piece of grouper, some triple tail.
Y'all my kind of people.
And sear it off. Now we got people that also cannot eat seafood at all, right? That's where that za'atar chicken comes in. And we still boil that sausage, that potato, all that in there as a separate, right? So the thing is, we want to ensure that no matter what, you are satiated.
That's good, man. That's
good.
What
it's about. Ask Tia. Tell them, baby.
Yeah.
One of the things that that we thought was very important about the meal was that we ate family style. Tia, can you explain what that means and why that's important?
So family style is where everything is served on a platter and it's served to the table. So the meaning for me in regards to why that's important is going back again to that community conversation. If we are sitting around the table, sharing food, passing food, engaging in conversation, laughing, joking, oh, what's in this? What's in it? It creates a sense of connection between people. Everybody's, you got to make sure everybody around that table gets a little bit of that, right? You can just take a little bit, make sure it makes it around the table. If there's a little bit left, you can take some, leave some, take what you need and leave the rest and have it move down the table. So it's a celebration of us as a collective unit to be able to eat family style, to not disengage from each other while we're eating. We live in a world now where, you make your plate, there's 4 TVs in the house and 3 tablets and, 6 phones. And it's very easy to just make that plate and go off to your bedroom and go check out the next Netflix show that's on.
Hey, don't be talking about Netflix and chill, boo.
This is a family show, remember? This is family. Right. So to me, that's what it means. It's an extension of community, and sharing food and breaking bread with each other is important.
That's good.
So just kind of rounding that conversation out about how intentional we are about every aspect of the Legacy Gala, even down to the food and how we eat. We want this to be a wholesome, full body experience. It's our first. I mean, we talked as an organization, we got to do it big and we got to do it right. So we're setting a precedence here with what we're doing. And it's for a good cause, y'all. Get your tickets. Look at our sponsorship categories. Talk to your employer. The work that we're doing, it's not just for today. It's not just for May 4th, 2024. It's for May 4th, 2026, 2030, 2037. We want to make sure that we're making good deposits and producing good trees for the future.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so as we wrap this up, man, we just want to say that we're grateful for the chefs on the call. And listen, I need just one more lightning round thing, because I'm a pastor and my church members, they be getting mad at me for saying this, but I need some chefs to confirm this. Okay, I got 3 questions for you. Question number 1, grits, sugar, or salt?
Sugar.
Salt.
Oh, the chefs are divided. Oh, no, Okay, how about this one? Banana pudding, cold or warm?
Cold.
Thank you. I hope y'all heard that. And then finally, last one. Is spaghetti a main course or a side?
Main.
I will say this. Spaghetti is a pasta. So are you just talking about the pasta, or are you talking about the pasta with meat sauce?
I'm talking about pasta with meat sauce.
Okay. So that's a main the way my wife makes it, and that's with the old school Italian bolognese sauce. We don't do meatballs and all that kind of stuff, but when you do that long ragu style or whatever, that's a meal. And the reason I asked, and I made mention of, do you mean spaghetti just as pasta, was because I was going back to my childhood when we couldn't necessarily afford hamburger meat. So you ate just the pasta, a little bit of butter, salt, and pepper. So that still became a main course. Here you go, boy. This will fill you up and get you to tomorrow morning. You know what I'm saying? So,
right. Good. So the spaghetti with meat sauce is main course. I hope y'all heard it. Y'all don't have to put fish with it. Sometimes fish and spaghetti works, but it can be a main course by itself.
Yeah, only in Chicago.
So listen, we appreciate y'all for joining us. Y'all need to make sure y'all are registering for the gala. Buy your tickets. If you're sponsoring the gala, make sure you sponsor it. We're gonna have a whole meal. And somebody mentioned in the comments, we gonna have the itis afterwards, but it's gonna be good. If you don't know what itis means, ask your friend. Any closing thoughts? Any closing thoughts from you, Bobby, or chefs? Y'all want to say anything as we close?
Again, I'm humbled and honored to be able to be a part of this inaugural event that you all are doing. And I will just say, from Gilliard Farms and my sister that's not here right now, it means a lot to us that Glenn County continues to work towards being better.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yes, I'm thankful and honored for the time that we had today, and look forward to everybody on May 4th. It's gonna be a throwdown. So you're gonna want to get your tickets. You're gonna want some of this plate.
For me, it's this has been a long time coming. Anybody that talks to me know how much I look up to my big brother. He bought me a pair of combat boots when he was in the military, and I used to play basketball in them. He is a part of my Genesis story in militancy. So this is really just an honor for us to work together with this endeavor. And I'm just excited for what it's going to mean for the community.
Definitely.
No, Miss Wanda, we're not gonna have no to-go containers, and we're not gonna have no aluminum foil. We're not gonna have no saran wrap.
No aluminum foil.
No aluminum foil.
You know how we roll, right? Let me get one of them to-go boxes. Eat all you can on site. At the family time.
And I will tell you this: one of the things that we strove to do also is to ensure the event was sustainable. So one of the things that we did intentionally is we are doing everything on sustainable plates and forks and knives and all of those things. We're then going to take all of that trash, shred it, and it's going to be turned into compost. So that, and we're hoping that we can finish it out, that by August or the fall, we have taken that shredded product, turned it into compost, and want to put it back into Glenn County. So for those of you that farm or want to do any garden beds or whatever, and we'll be able to give y'all pictures of the process. It'll probably take 120 days from start to finish. But we're looking to be able to do that. So when the fall comes and somebody want to plant sweet potatoes in August or whatever it might be, that you're ready also for Thanksgiving and Christmas, because we have that different weather than Philadelphia, where it's like 20 below in like October. You know what I'm saying? For us, it's still 75.
Come on, well, this isn't Canada.
It's close enough.
So we're gonna wrap all that into the story that we tell at the gala, knowing that it's fully sustainable, knowing that we're very intentional with all the choices. We want people to know that as we're sitting there eating at the gala, and we thank you all for even just thinking about that intentionally and just putting everything back in the Glenn County. That just resonates with us as an organization so much, and I think it's going to be an impactful time for us all. So again, thank y'all so much. And thank you for everybody who's been joining us. Shout out to Wanda Mosley, who is one of the directors of Black Voters Matter. She is a warrior, and we love her, appreciate her, and hopefully she'll be in the house on that night. So, all right, y'all, love y'all, appreciate y'all, and we're gonna see y'all on May the 4th, 2024, 6 o'clock at Queen and Grant. Y'all take care.
Appreciate you.